Hi class. In this video, I'm actually going to talk about the final exam. Normally in the classroom, I'll spend an occasional class and just dedicate it to talking about music theory basics, you might say. And it's a little bit easier for me to do it in that format. But since we didn't have that uh, for this semester, I'm going to take you through basically what's going to be on the test. So if you watch this video, it'll make things a lot easier. So the first page of the exam is going to be note identification and rhythm identification. And the whole test is multiple choice. So that should make things a little bit easier. So what you're going to see is this. As far as the notes go, part of the note identification will just deal with the first three strings, and then the next section will deal with the bottom three. So section strings 1 to 3, and then strings 4 to 6. Um, one of the things I'm going to have you do is give me the note names. So if you see this note here that I'm pointing to down on exercise 32, it's an E. If I point here, it's a D. There'll be one of everything. This note here is a G, and it's that simple. You're just going to plug in, you're going to write the note name under the note. The next part of this is going to be the note placement. Where is it on the guitar? And I'm not talking about positions. We're not going to do any of that on the final. So what you're going to have to do is, for instance, down here at 32, this G that I have here. Now this is the third string open. So what I would ask you to do, and this will be explained on the test, is you're going to write a 0 under it, meaning it's an open string. And under that 0, you're going to put the number 3 in a circle. String numbers are typically marked in circles. This practice was used a lot before you had tablature. And in fact, a lot of music that doesn't use tablature uses this method still. A lot of classical guitar music, jazz. Uh, Now that you have tablature on so much of the commercial music available, you don't really need this anymore, but it's good to know. So again, underneath the note, you'll put what fret it's in. If it's open, you'll put a 0. If it's in the third fret, you'll put a 3. Underneath that, you're going to put another number, and it's going to be the number of the string. So underneath this open G, you would have a 0 and a number 3 in a circle. This note over here is an E. It's the second fret of the fourth string. So underneath that, I would write a 2. Underneath that, I would put the number 4 in a circle. And that's it. It tells me it's on the second fret of the fourth string. And here this was the open third string. And that's it. That's how you're going to identify notes. You can use your book. Obviously, I'm going to be sending this test home. So whatever it takes to get through, that's fine. That's your note identification. The other part is going to be rhythms. You're going to have to tell me what the rhythm is called and how many beats it's worth. So if you see uh, these notes here, like black notes with the stems, you'll write in quarter notes. There's one of your answers. Or this one here, this hollow note with a dot and a stem, a dotted half note. All right, but you also write in how many beats. So if you see the hollow note with stem, you're going to write a 2. These are going to be separate things. So if you see the black note with the stem, you'll write a 1 underneath it. So you're telling me how many beats it's worth, but you're also going to show me that you know what it's called. So those are the two things there that I want you to do. Now that's the first page of the test right there. The second page of the test has to do with multiple choice questions. Now we didn't get to cover all of this again because I didn't get to do my music basics lecture in class, and it's a little bit harder. I mean, I would have had to send out videos, and I thought it would be a better use of our time to have you play. So let me just go over a few things here, and there are a few things I'm going to show you on my screen share. So I'm going to give you some of the questions in case you want to think about it. For instance, what's the difference between the music staff and guitar tablature? All right. Uh, there are two choices that you're going to get on the test. And I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. We've looked at tablature and we've looked at the music staff. So that kind of explains itself. What does a sharp do? We just started doing sharps. Does it raise a note? Does it lower a note? And by how much? You know, by how many frets or steps? All right. What does a dot do to a note's rhythmic value? Now, we didn't go into much detail with this. However, you do know that if you have a half note, a hollow note with a stem, it's worth 2 beats. And then if I put a dot next to it, it's worth 3 beats. So, simple math. We added 1 beat to the half note. What is 1 in relation to 2? You increase the half note's value by half of itself. So think about that. All right. Again, as I said, I am going to give you some answers because we didn't really get to discuss this in class. So this will be a test as to whether or not you watched this video and paid attention. Um, what does a time signature tell you? If you see 3/4 or 4/4, what does that do? All right. What does a clef show you? Now, this is the one I think I maybe I've had 2 people get this right in the past 7 years. This is your clef. This is a G clef. All right. There are also F clefs and C clefs. Now, let me see if I can show you something. I'm going to scroll through the book a bit. And let me see if I can kind of give you an answer without giving you an answer. All right. So I'm going to move along. We did start doing sharps, barely. And we did talk about here, when you see this sharp in the beginning of a piece of music, we call that a key signature. Now remember that. That tells you what key the song is in. All right. Now this is your G clef or treble clef, right? So it points to something very specific. Think about that. I want to see if you can figure it out. You have F clefs, you have C clefs. This is a G clef. All right. Does it tell you what key the song is in? Key signatures are there to tell you that. So what does this do? All right. You'll see when you take the test and you see what choices you have. I think it'll be pretty obvious, but I want you to think about that. All right. Um, now, this is something else that I'm going to talk about today, and hopefully I can give it to you in a video. So I'm going to give you a little peek. Um, Power chords are used a lot in rock music. All right. Power chord is a double stop. It's 2 notes. And I'm going to ask you how many notes or strings are in a power chord. So I just told you. And I'm going to show you in a separate video. All right. And I'll show you what it looks like on paper. So that's basically what that is. That's what I mean. There are certain things we hadn't covered. Now, this we have covered, although we didn't talk about it in detail. Natural half steps. Whenever you go from one note to another and you only move 1 fret, that's a natural half step. So on the first string, you learned E, F, and G. Now, which 2 notes are separated by 1 fret and which 2 notes are separated by 2 frets? In other words, how far is it from F to G and how far is it from E to F? When you go only 1 fret from one natural note to another, that's what they call a natural half step. You know, you'll have your guitar. I think you can figure it out. Now, we have another new thing here because we just started chords. When you play a chord like a G or a C, as you see in this exercise here, you see how these chords are written G, C, D7. These are called root position chords. When you play a chord like this, when you play a G, the lowest note that you're playing in that chord is a G. When you play the C, the lowest note is a C. Now, if I scroll ahead in the book, I'm going to have to go ahead quite a bit. There are a lot of things I wish we had gotten to cover, but we won't be able to. But I want to show you something in here. I have to move a little bit faster. Bear with me here. So it's a lot more to this book one, believe it or not. So let's see here. But this is kind of important. I'd like you to see it because if you keep playing guitar, it's something you're going to see in books in the future. And it's something you should have a basic understanding of. So let's see, we're getting there. All right. Going a little further. Here we go. Now, take a look at these chords. G, C, these are root position chords. E minor, root position. Now, look at this. This is a B minor over A. It says B minor / A. That means, and this is, you always read these the same way. On the left side of the slash, Some people refer to them as slash chords, which they are. On the left side of the slash is the chord. So this is a B minor chord. But on the right side is the bass note or the lowest note you're going to play. So you're playing a B minor chord, but you're going to strum it from an A, which is your open fifth string. All right. That's basically what that means. I could put a slash on anything. I can have this G chord up here and I could have put a slash and put a D on the other side, which means I'm playing a G chord, but I'm going to strum it from a D note. My lowest note will be a D. I can have a C chord and a slash, and then I can have a G on the right side of the slash. So just understand that if you just have a letter by itself, or in this case, two letters, the E minor, that's a root position chord. And if you see this slash, it's an inversion. All right, that's going to be on the test. What notes are included in the music alphabet? You've actually covered this. Is there an H? Have you ever played one? Think about that. All right, you've covered all the notes in the music alphabet, so I think you can figure that out. Um, what does a tie do? We've done ties. Can you tie two different notes? Does a tie extend the note's value? So, that should be pretty easy. And then finally, what's an interval? This is something we really didn't cover, but I want to show you. And this one I will give you the answer to. All right, let me take a look over here. Actually, we could even start in the first measure. This first note is a D, and the second note is a G. When you count intervals, it's the distance between any two notes. All right, so D I count as 1. The next line would be an E, the next space would be an F, the next line would be G. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a fourth. If I look at the interval between this G and that A, I'm going up one notch. I'm going up from this line to this space. That's a second. If I go from this A, there's a 1, 2. If I go from this A to that B, that's another second. I count from here, that space, up to this line. That's basically it. It's a way to count the distance between any two notes. All right. There's more to it than that, but that's all I really want you to know. Now, we talked about, or I was mentioning power chords. So let me go back. And I'm going to squeeze this in on one of our videos. I think we'll have like 2 more instructional videos left. Just try to get in a few new things. We'll be doing eighth notes and power chords and maybe a few other new chords. So let's go back. Let me see. Here we go. This is basically what power chords look like. They're double stops. As I said, you're playing 2 notes at a time, 2 adjacent strings. All right, your sixth and fifth, your fifth and fourth, and they're marked with a letter. In this case, A5, E5, and this also touches on intervals, which I just talked about, meaning I'm playing A, and the note that's a fifth above it. All right, so A5, A, B, C, D, E. All right, I'm playing an A and an E. In this case, I'm playing E and the note that's a fifth above it. E, F, G, A, B. So those are basically power chords, all right? And I'll illustrate them in a video, but I wanted you to kind of see this. So power chord is a double stop. It's 2 notes, and I think that's enough information to get you by. And that's everything that's on the test. If you do get a chance to check out this video and you have any other questions between now and the final, which I think I have to send them out in another 2 weeks, please shoot me an email, message me through Canvas or whatever, and I will help you as much as I can. All right, so thank you.